Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Neo Tokyo's official podcast, Interlinked. Huge shout out to our sponsor, Playa3ull Games. They are inspired by gamers and funded by their community. They have a epic game on the Epic Games Store, a third-person shooter called Nexus. Hop on in there and check that out. They're also currently selling nodes, so if you're interested, check that out at their website, playable.games. That is a 3 instead of a B on Playable. Now strap in for the rest of this episode of Interlink. I'm joined today by Josh from the Daemons team. How are we doing today, Josh?
Doing fantastic, Nick. It's great to be here and looking forward to chatting again into some good topics.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start right at the top. Would love to get a little bit of a rundown on Daemons and your position there, maybe a little bit of your history of how you got into Web3, and then we'll take it from there.
Sounds great. So I'll dive into a quick overview of Demons first, and then maybe take a step back after that and talk about my history in Web3 and what got me into or got me to this spot. So Demons itself is an omni-chain game inspired by Tamagotchi and Pokemon, and it's connecting gaming and retro pixel art with the latest in blockchain and AI technology. We're founded and centered in New Zealand, but we have an international team of Web3 and gaming professionals. And I think we're the only omni-chain game that is taking your on-chain history and turning it into a custom pixel companion with PvP, PvE, and AI integration combined with earnings potential. And we've actually just wrapped up our open beta, which was a massive success, working across Base, so that we deployed across Base, Polygon, H&A, Sonic, and Sonium and Monad testnets, and we're planning to launch on even more chains on mainnet. That'll be coming in July, and yeah, we're looking to transition from that into a TGE later in the year. And we've been along our journey fortunate to win grants from Ancient 8, from Polygon, and we're partnered with some of the biggest and best projects in Web3, including Persona, Nifty Island, and now working and collaborating with Neo Tokyo and many others in the background too. So yeah, it's been a wild ride at Daemons. We're still relatively new to the Web3 scene, having just started and founded in well, we burst onto the scene at sort of the September, October time last year, and then really came out of stealth towards the end of the year and got into open development. Yeah, and to talk a little bit about my background and what got me to this stage with Daemons. So, originally from England and came out to New Zealand when I was 14, 15 with the whole family. Studied maths and physics at university in Sydney at the end of my high school time. That seems like a long time ago now, but over a decade ago, finished that degree. And then joined the New Zealand Defence Force, where I have been an officer in the New Zealand Defence Force for a bit over a decade with some time off in between, transitioning between roles, and most recently in part-time project management work there, whilst I more or less do the full-time Daemons work here. You know how it is in Web3, balancing multiple things at the same time. But that's what really got me into originally leadership, project management, and started looking really about that 2017, 2018 time when I was still in defense at that point. Somebody pointed me towards the direction of crypto at that stage. I thought it was just completely fascinating, Wild West, loved the technology, and initially dived into the tech side of things. Got sucked into the culture and the craziness of the space. And that first few years was really for me just mostly about learning things, losing money, and also just really diving into different projects, different chains, and figuring things out. And then from there, in 2020 and 2021, that's when I sort of dipped my toes into the founder space and brought to life a small project that was connecting various charities to the fundraising power of NFTs and Web3 in general. That was another one where it was quite small in scope, but we ended up partnering with some of the biggest charities around the world, including World Wildlife Fund, Sea Shepherd, and a number of others. Had some good small successes, but towards the end of COVID time, things were getting busy. My personal job was ramping back up, so I had to step back from that. But I've always kept in touch with the space since then, and wanted to bring another project to life. And my lifelong side obsession has always been gaming. I've always been tied to that, and I've always wanted to bring a game to life, either in Web 2 or Web 3. And Daemons just sort of came about as an amazing opportunity with several market opportunities we wanted to capture and wanted to see come to life towards the midpoint of last year. And that includes like de-siloing Web3 gaming, bringing a game to life that's alive across many different blockchains, and using as well like bringing AI more into the personal identity space in gaming. So having an actual character that represents your blockchain history, integrating that with AI, so you can actually talk to that character, feel more connected to your blockchain history, and yeah, just then really just capture different narratives as they appear and bring something to life that really is like modular, and can efficiently adapt to things and trends as they appear. So that's a sort of a bit of a whirlwind background for me, the game. And I'll apologize as well for my lack of camera at the moment. As we mentioned before the pod, I'd love to be on camera, but having just crawled out of bed at 4:30, I'm still in sort of dressing gown and wake up mode. So I'm not in the best visual state for being live at the moment, but otherwise I'd love to be. And yeah.
And no sweat at all. I certainly forgive you, and I know our editor will as well. At 6 a.m., I was still horizontal, so zero judgment. Just the fact that you're joining us so early in your time means a lot. Diving in a little bit on your background, so you mentioned, side hobby had always been gaming. What sort of like games did you like to play?
All right. Okay. So, um, really, gaming has been the obsession since I was a little kid, from playing like sort of Tomb Raider and Crash Bandicoot on PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 2 days of getting into like, what's it, again, more Tomb Raider, more Splinter Cell, more like a lot of first person shooters and adventure games back then. And then more recently, PlayStation 3, 4, 5. I love at the moment, I've always been a huge fan of the Witcher series. Most recently, Cyberpunk was after all of its many updates has become a fantastic game. And I think the most recent ones I played would be, oh, what's that latest one? But sort of a combination of shameless games like World of Warcraft, League of Legends, Hearthstone, and your PlayStation classics like Ghost of Tsushima, Ratchet
Oh,
and
so
Clank,
good.
and Horizon Zero Dawn as well is another all-time great. Um, I think actually my favorite game of all time though is actually BioShock. That's one.
Oh, that's a great pick. I
Yeah,
love the BioShock series.
yeah, that has got a special place in my heart. I always just come back to those games. That's like one of those games that if I'm, feeling a little bit run down or down in the dumps, that I'll just be like, okay, I'm just booting that up and replaying one or two because
I'm
those,
due for a run. I'm due
yeah,
for a run. There was something about that game that like really nailed setting. Like the
mhm,
setting was such an enriching part of the story. I just remember like now I feel like my ADHD, I'm like sprinting everywhere. Like it's really hard. Outside of like recently Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, like I'll like speed play games, like especially like the new Assassin's Creed. I'm just like sprinting from assassination point to assassination point. But there's something about that game where you really just like looked around and like looked through a little bit of like the windows to see like what the like marine life was out there and just like all the creepiness. and the story. And I mean, I think people will go back and assuming we still have all of these technological records, will look at BioShock in a very, sort of like prophetic way where it predicted a lot of, sort of the problems that we're still struggling with on the world stage today.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those games that was just a perfect capture for me of like incredible storytelling, just top notch. Like I was sucked into all of the different the characters, the arcs, the like the side, it wasn't just like protagonist, antagonist. It was actually like all of the different little side characters and their stories and motivations were just oh just so incredible. And then the setting, the gameplay, like I love the whole like power in one hand, um, shooting in the other hand. That was and just powering up on that game and exactly as you said, like just exploring it was amazing. And I felt like the the progression system and how you got progressively um, more overpowered towards the end was fantastic. So yeah, that's a special place in my heart, that game, and I would love to see another one come out. I've heard that Randy Pitchford is making, or what is it, Randy? No, it's not Randy, but the original developer is making Judas, sort of a spin-off game, which has got
Mm.
Bioshock roots, but I don't know. There hasn't been any word of a new Bioshock for a while, which makes my heart a little bit sad. But yeah, I miss them.
Same here. I miss them as well. I actually, had an unorthodox sort of like journey with the PlayStation games where like I went down the Xbox route. Actually, the split I distinctly remember was the original Assassin's Creed. And in the early promo days, it was a PlayStation exclusive. And then they made the decision to go multi-console like a month before the game came out. And then I was like, okay, that was like the real thing that I was like, okay, I need it. I need to play Assassin's Creed. So once it went to the Xbox, I went down that route. So I didn't get the PS5 until I was in my mid 20s and or maybe late 20s and then just binged, played all the Gears of War all the way back to the original versions and including the PSPs straight into Ragnarok, which was very special. And then,
Yep.
the Horizon, Zero Dawn, Forbidden West, The Last of Us, Last of Us 2. Now I've played probably gone through the story 3 times to play them on all these remakes. But Sony really does something special with the stories, and I think it's been really exciting to see them dip their toe into Web3 with Sonium as well. Seems like very validating for the space.
Oh, couldn't agree more. And that was one of those partnerships that we made because we've been working with Sony now for a few months, and they've been just fantastic to work with as a team. But when we first started talking to them, it just made me feel a little bit giddy, like like the childish side of me was like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to a project, a company that's Sony and that works with Sony. Like this is a Sony brand. Like I just it was one of those moments that just hit home and was just like I can't believe we're actually working with this team and have brought so many like incredible memories to life for me like growing up and I'd be remiss as well if I didn't mention that obviously a huge part of my gaming childhood was Pokemon, was Tamagotchi, and sort of that's being a huge progenitor and like a big inspiration for what we brought to life here with Daemons and I think some of my best gaming memories would have been like Pokemon Red and Blue in high school and collecting Pokemon cards, which I still have to this day. Or
Oh, you did it
yeah,
right. You did it
yeah,
right. I like have another flashback memory to like maybe I was in my like maybe 12 and we literally sold probably like generation 1 or generation 1 through 3 Pokemon cards on the side of the road in a giant bag. And I'm like,
wow.
oh, what that Ziploc was probably worth would have been, quite a bit. Although those cards, I was never easy on my collectibles growing up before I was a much more of a toys, not tools kind of guy.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I used to play with mine a fair bit. It took me a while to realize, oh, actually, no, I want to protect some of these shiny ones. But yeah, we still have a fair few though, I don't know that I'd ever be able to even sell them, even if I don't know that there's a monetary value I could put on those things. Well, I'm sure there would be, but it would take me a lot to get rid of those
Yep,
cards.
no doubt.
I'm seeing from the background that you've got some sweet One Piece and Dragon Ball Z up there. Um, is that a big part of your gaming background as well?
Yeah, so certainly a bit. Well, the One Piece is another new obsession, but Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, I watched when I was like a little kid, and that was my first sort of like introduction to anime. It was right when I was getting into like Pokemon. So I've definitely, as I've grown, I've become a bit of a weeb and went to Japan for the first time in November. Had been using sort of watching anime for the last few years alongside some like learning tools to like start to learn Japanese. And then when I was at the manga museum, I picked up like just a bunch of the starters of like a bunch of series in English. So I grabbed like Naruto, One Piece, and then like Dragon Ball Z, and was reading them on the way home from the plane. Had gotten like the first and second of the Mo One Piece manga and just like became obsessed and bought, box set one. Then I read box set two. I'm like halfway through three, and then I'm like maybe here in the anime. So I've been doing like both alongside. So it's been a bit of a One Piece obsession of late, but I'm pretty late to the party, but it gives a lot of One Piece to binge.
Oh, no, never too late, never too late. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z was definitely one of my anime obsessions growing up, and I think most of my Discord community will tell you now that my favorite anime of all time though is definitely Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, with
Mm.
quite a few others sort of hot on its tails in terms of there's just so many good animes been released recently, but yeah, I'm right there with you in terms of the late stage weeb. I went to Japan myself like it would have been 5 or 6 years ago now, just around Tokyo, and it was amazing. Like absolutely loved that country just from my small excursion to Tokyo, and I can't wait to get back there now. So yeah, one day soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I definitely am, loving or fantasizing about going back. I think the next thing I'm scheming is do like a snowboarding trip with some college buddies. But there's Tokyo is particularly for Americans, and I'd be interested to hear if you had a similar effect from New Zealand. But it's a crazy experience in a lot of ways. I mean, there's the culture uniqueness, the food, the scale of Tokyo. But the thing that like was the most emotionally impactful was like the realization that you can do infrastructure on that scale and still keep it immaculately clean, extremely efficient, extremely effective, the bullet trains, where I'm like, are we living in like the past? It felt like almost a little bit, especially, I land in Newark, which is certainly not the crown jewel of the United States. And the infrastructure's run down and, TSA and customs takes forever. And then it's, a couple hours jam packed on the way home. So did you have a similar effect or is New Zealand a little bit more dialed on their infrastructure?
Oh, New Zealand is so not dialed on the infrastructure. I mean, we've been trying to build a train system up in Auckland, a decent one for like well over a decade. That's still, I think, in progress. I'm down in Wellington, and the bus system is great here, but oh my gosh, it's nothing compared to the public transport in Tokyo. That was just unbelievable how efficient and just well connected that city is. And yeah, I completely resonate with everything else there as well. I just found the changes in scenery and culture, like between streets, like you can be walking down a street and you can be seeing like this incredible decade or centuries old temple in one street, and then the next street it will be like amazing bars and culture, and the next street it will be like the AI district or the anime district, and there's just so many layers to Tokyo, and it's also interwoven. I just found that like just explore just walking around the place was was just an amazing experience. So yeah, definitely have I barely scratched the surface there. Would love to go back.
Oh, you need like 6 weeks in Tokyo, I feel like, to even get like a feel of all the different districts. We were there for like 4 or 5 days, and still, there are entire chunks of the city that we didn't even get a chance to. It's huge. And then there's the density too, where like Akibara, the electronic district, like you could have spent 2 days there just going in between all the different levels and all the different sections of the store. And it's like all cameras and trading cards and
Mhm.
old Walkman and like, oh, it's really a special experience.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, there's I'll definitely love to get back there, and New Zealand will always have a special place in my heart, and obviously it's my home. I've been here for the over half my life now, and I definitely can't imagine being somewhere other than New Zealand to live for the long term. But oh my gosh, could I live or could I work in Japan and stay in Japan for a lot longer than a few weeks? It's just yeah, seems like such a rich place. But yeah, I don't. We digress.
Yeah, and looping it back a little bit closer to home here, obviously one of the biggest like pieces of content created out of Japan is Pokemon, and I actually my first game ever was Red version Pokemon, so it's got a real special place in my heart. Because I think it's a really good common ground for people who haven't gotten a chance to play Daemons. Maybe we start there as far as like a game structure, and then where does Daemons divert from that Pokemon structure? Where are you guys sort of preserving and where are you guys changing?
Yeah, yeah. So I think the things that we're preserving are firstly the retro pixel art style. So getting the art style right was something that was incredibly important to me. And actually, in our early history at Demons, we actually went out and talked to several pixel artists. We had them commission different styles of pixel art so that we could get a really good feel about what type of art they were proficient at, that they were more that they could develop more. And we took that to our community, and through a process with our community, we actually worked with them and figured out which art style we really wanted to dive into pixel art wise, keeping it aligned and keeping it true to that old school formula, but also having some really sharp artwork at the same time. So that's, I think, one of the first things. And the next thing is sort of the progression and the evolution system. That's something that we really wanted to get right, because all of the characters that you can play in Daemons, you can level up. Initially at mainnet, that would be to level 20. And as you're getting from level 1 to level 20, you're actually able to go through evolution stages where you can evolve your character and change the look and feel of that character and the animation suites that go with it. So I think that's another important thing where we wanted to stay true and make that a really engaging experience. And also introduce scarcity as well to levels. So just like in Pokemon, when you found a shiny Charizard card, or whether you've evolved your Pokemon to its final level in the game itself, that feels like a really powerful experience. And so we wanted to replicate that and give people characters at the end which were more scarce and which just felt impactful and really powerful when they get to that final level. And then I guess the in terms of the combat, it's turn-based combat, so that's also true to the Pokemon formula. Ways that we're deviating from Pokemon, I'd say obviously the Web3 elements and the fact that the characters in our game are brought to life through a combination of your chain history, so what chains you've transacted on the most, what protocols you've used the most, and also what NFTs you hold in your wallet. So all of those things sort of combine together to give you a range of custom options for us with in terms of your initial level 1 character. And then you can actually then take that character into the game and battle other players with their characters controlled by a bot, or other players actually directly in live matchmaking. So that's something that we've done that's a little bit of a step in the next direction, or in a in a different direction from the classic Pokemon formula. We've got that live matchmaking feature, You're also able to talk to your character as an AI agent in the game. So that's something that we really wanted to do to bring your character to life, to make it feel more engaging, more like a part of your story. And so you can talk to your character, which is fully conversant in all of the context history of our documentation and the docs of all of the projects and partners that we work with, so that you can instantly learn about us, about our partners, without having to dive through other docs and get a bit of a feel for that. So yeah, there's a few bits of formula that we've taken in a different direction. Certainly the art style, the progression system, the evolutions is all true to the Pokemon formula. And then the things that we're doing outside of that would be the Web3 connectivity, bringing your on-chain history to life, and then the live matchmaking component, the clan warfare component, which I haven't dived into yet, but it's really interesting stuff. And then the AI integration side as well. So actually talking to your character and it feeling a lot more alive and real and connected to you. So yeah, that would be the key points of difference, I think.
Oh, the talking to your characters is super interesting. One, obviously, AI agents have become increasingly popular. So I guess theoretically, you'd be able to talk to your, Neo Tokyo Raptor about Neo Tokyo itself, about, other projects as well that you guys are working with, Sonium, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, so we brought the Neo Raptor to life, which is our Neo Tokyo inspiration. And you and the team have been fantastic working through and developing that masterpiece, which was incredible to see come to life in our recent beta. And we're and so yeah, you can actually in the game in the AI chat component talk to your Raptor, and at the moment we've just fed those characters like a context history of essentially the key high level documentation of the various projects that we're working with through what we can see publicly. But there's scope to increase the complexity and scale of that context history with what they're aware of, and add a heap of lore to their understanding as well. So yeah, you could dive in the beta and talk to your character, and we added some really cool Easter eggs as well into the lore of that context history, so that the characters were saying some things and speaking to their owners in a really personal way. And one thing that we've had ongoing in the community in the background is a lore challenge, where we're every week choosing new bits of lore to add to the context history of these AI agents, so that there's some extra Easter eggs, and so we're building out these characters and their profiles with the community as we go, which has been a really rewarding experience, I think, for us and also the people in the server.
Now, a word from our sponsors.
What's up, crypto gamers? Shout out to our sponsor, Myria. Myria is revolutionizing Ethereum based gaming with its powerful L2 scaling solution. Think zero gas fees, instant transactions, free NFT minting, and more. Myria offers a suite of tools that are tailor built for game development, including game specific SDKs, a specced out marketplace, Web3 spiked leaderboards, new AI super tools, and more. All this fueled by a fleet of player run nodes that are a breeze to operate and pump out daily rewards for supporting the ecosystem. Plus, check out Meta Rush, the Battle Royale obstacle runner by Myria Studios, dropping very, very soon.
Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Let's chat about the open beta a little bit. What functionality was available in the open beta? How did it go?
Yeah, so open beta for us had really the full functionality that we wanted to bring to market, obviously with some quirks and with some polish missing. But the core things, all of the core things were there for us, which was bringing your on-chain history to life. So the initial onboarding experience and custom character creation process. We also had in the beta the full level up roadmap, so you can actually get to level 20 experience the full evil roadmap tree and evolve your character all the way to rank 3. However briefly, and however much I miss my rank 3 already. And then we had the Playverse bot experience, which is the like playing against another player's character controlled by a bot, which is more so a bit of a learning ground experience for new players, we feel, rather than a competitive arena. It really just helps you build an understanding of your character's abilities, how to play in a sort of a safe environment where you can rapidly get into it. And then the PvP, which is the live matchmaking, where we had a fantastic mini tournament that got incredibly competitive, where you can actually live matchmake against other players. We also had the AI chat integrated, so talking to your character, as well as the broader achievements integration as well, where we have a range of different achievements you can earn in the game, from minting for the first time to actually getting to certain levels, to winning with a certain ability, to things like that. Which all of those abilities are integrated into our point system, so that as you earn an ability, you can directly claim, and that those points, which lead to our airdrop, go directly to your associated wallet. So that's something that we wanted to integrate as a really seamless experience for players that ties the airdrop directly to actually playing the game and having fun with it. So yeah, we pretty much had all of the functionality for the game, albeit there's definitely some roughness around the edges that we're polishing out in the coming weeks, leading to mainnet. But all of the core functionality was there, and we were incredibly excited to see it all come to life. Yeah, in terms of some of the awesome metrics that we got, we're still tabulating some of those and bringing it all together, because we ran it in 3 different phases. But at the moment, it's looking like we had around 1,500 unique players. We had about 2,200 mints across all of the various testnets that we were on. And I think it was around about 105,000 battles were played across all the different phases, with the maniacs
Wow.
the maniacs in our community. I think getting an average of about 35 battles a day, which is a good couple of hours app time per day for most people playing the beta on average, which is just blew us away in terms of metrics for the beta. So yeah, we're incredibly proud of that, and that was done with almost. In fact, that was done outside of the rewards we put for certain achievements and certain bounties that were advertised in Discord. That was done without marketing spend. So we're really looking forward to bringing it to life and really going hard at mainnet to push out the vision of what we're doing.
And what platforms was the open beta available on, and what will the game be available on?
So the game is a web-based browser application, so it can be played on phone and pinned to your device as an app. It can be played on desktop, on laptop, on really any device, and that was a core element of what we wanted to do with the game. Make it accessible for as many people as possible, whether you're operating on a high-end laptop in New Zealand, or an old phone in wherever else you are in the world, with maybe less decent cell reception. So we wanted to make the game really accessible. We're still refining the code base to make it as efficient as we can for older devices and worse internet connections, but we want the most amount of people possible to be able to play, which was a huge part of the ethos for what we're doing. Make it accessible for as many people as possible across the widest possible audience, which is a part of the game's ethos, but also the omni-chain part as well.
And when will players be able to dive back in? Is there another open beta scheduled or full release on the horizon?
Yeah, absolutely. So uh, we're intending to have some mini testing stages between now and mainnet for mostly our VIP members of our Discord. So they're going to get some small windows, some small testing windows between now and our full release to dive back in and see the features as we're polishing them and removing doing some bug fixes, doing those minor polish elements leading up to mainnet. So if you're a VIP in our Discord server, then you're going to get that ability. Otherwise, there's the full release is planned for at some point in July. We're estimating at this point mid to late July for that full release. And for me, it's going to be one of those things. The eager and impatient part of me wants it to get out there as soon as possible. I really want to see this game in the wild, but at the same time, I want to make sure that we're doing this right. You only have one release of a product, and after the amount of time and effort we put into this, into the artwork, into the game, into the community building, the networking, the everything that we've done for this project. I don't want to do a disservice by rushing it out the door. So aiming for mid July, but that said, it might be more towards the end of July. We're just waiting to do some final detailed planning with the team, which will be a this weekend, early next week job, and then we'll have some detail that we'll put out to the public after that.
Yeah, and maybe you can walk me through how you guys think about best utilizing open beta feedback. Obviously, people can differ extremely in opinion. Then you've also got the fact that, even if it's like late July, we're talking about like 6 weeks max of sort of development window. So how do you guys best utilize the feedback that y'all received during the open beta?
Yeah. So we've already done the work at really quickly gathering all of the suggestions made, all of the bug fixes, all of the bug reports, and putting that into a prioritized list of things that we want to get done. And in terms of how we prioritize that, it's a combination of on the bug side, it's relatively easy. We want to get rid of all of those. On the feature side, it's mostly a combination of is something a repeat suggestion, and is it something that we can feasibly integrate inside of a relatively short window without blowing out the timeline. So if we've got multiple people asking for the same thing, and we know or or we know that it would be a value add feature, and we know that it would be a relatively quick win to implement, then it becomes a no-brainer. But if it's sort of a bigger thing, like we've had some suggestions, people wanting some incredible stuff that we would love to implement, but it would completely blow out the timeline, and that would include things like getting multiple people in live matchmaking, like 2v2, 3v3. It could include having a more Pokemon style battle system in a way that you can swap out characters and use multiple characters in a battle. We would love to implement that at mainnet. But again, like things like that take a little bit more time to develop and to test properly. And we want to essentially get this product to market and try to see if we have something that is got some real product market fit potential. So that's important to us. It's a combination of, is it a feature that multiple people really want? How quickly can we implement it? And will it help us? Or will it ultimately help us get initial product market fit? Or is it something that we can, really consider as like a feature update a little bit later down the line? So yeah, it's a sort of just a bit of a process of talking to the team, listening to the community, but also trying to do things that are best for the project when we're trying to be efficient with our production cycle.
One of the other things that like popped up in my mind as something that's become even like more important to consider over the last few years with sort of examples like Pal World and like Helldivers. How much are you guys thinking about like having moments on the game that could go viral or be entertaining stream content? How much is that factoring into your guys' development?
Yeah, we're definitely thinking about what are those moments. What can we do to either capture trends and virality that exist right now or that we think could be on the horizon? And what are those moments that we can add into the game to really make people feel like powerful badasses and that they're achieving something as they progress? For me, two examples that spring to mind are the evolution process for us and the post game or like post match flow and how matches end. So for us, two things that we're doing. Firstly, on the evolution side, we want to get that old school, and this is another way that we're trying to align more with the old school Pokemon nostalgia. Is that I'm sure you remember, I remember evolving a Pokemon in the old school Pokemon games was just this thing of majesty where it was like this screen that just it takes over your screen and it's a flow between the old, the new, the old, the new, and then you suddenly have this new evolved Pokemon, and it's just this magical experience. And so we're trying to replicate that with the evolution process in our game to make that really engaging. And the other thing that immediately pops to mind is that sort of the post-match flow for us as well. So as you or as you're getting towards the end of a game, whether it is versus a bot or versus a player, the way that we end or the way that a match ends for us is that it's always going to be like a player's ultimate going off with the opponent going into their death animation. Like so, whatever ability you use at the end, if it kills the opponent, then it turns into an ultimate animation. And if you do level up or if you do unlock achievements, then we're trying to develop a really engaging post-match flow that really makes you feel like a powerful badass when you've got that victory and when you're unlocking things at the end. So I think those things for us, that's for me really important to get right, and something that I've put a lot of emphasis on, and something that we're really looking to polish leading up to launch. And yeah, we're always interested in how we can capture virality and narrative. I've had some interesting conversations with my wife and with the team recently in terms of how we can do like just looking at Labubu even like that craze just I don't know if you've been caught up in the Labubu scene, Nick.
No, I missed it. You'll have to catch me and the listeners who also missed it up to speed.
Yeah, so Labubu is like this it's a mystery box soft like plushy mini plushy toy, sort of like reminiscent of old school Beanie Babies really. And they uh my wife has become obsessed with them. A lot of people I know like have been talking about them too. And they come in these mystery boxes and you don't know what you're going to get. And so you can buy them as one or a pack of six, and there's just become this massive cult following around Labubus and opening up your mystery box and seeing what you're going to get. And so we're already trying to think like how can we introduce that sort of level of like mystery box element of reward and characters inside of Daemons as well. And so um, I won't I won't say too much more on that because it's still sort of in the ideation phase. But we're always looking at how we can capture those new trends, new virality, to bring those on-stream moments to life. And I'm guessing you've just done a quick bit of Labubu searching, but
I have, and I'm catching the headlines that Labubu doll fetches 150K at
yeah.
China. I'm assuming it's saying auction. So I don't know if this either I'm like out of the loop or I don't know if this phase has caught on in the West. Maybe this is the early part of the next big wave.
Yeah, who knows? I feel like I felt late to the party on this one too, and I even told my wife is like really tuned in on TikTok, and so she normally is ahead of the curve on this sort of thing. But even she, she was like, oh damn, like Labubu's already like 4 times. You can't buy them in stores anymore. They're all sold out, and so you have to purchase from retailers that are charging 4 or 5 times more. It just takes me right back to the Beanie Baby craze, but. These guys
Oh
seem to be
yeah.
controlling supply really well to make sure that there's, consistent, really good scarcity for what they're doing. And so, there's immediate things that we're bringing we're bringing to life from that craze. In terms of, I feel like as well, like the art style, the scarcity. Obviously, we're tapping into that with our evolutions, but yeah, I think there's something really powerful with like the mystery elements of what you're going to get um, and how you can bring that to life in Web3 to generate virality. I think that there's some magic to capture there that we're exploring at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, my interest is peaked on these Labubus. I also see that they did a One Piece collab. So if I was already on the fence, that might have swayed me over. I'm gonna have to look
Oh,
into that.
oh, man, the next time I see you on this stream, you're just gonna have Labubus all over the shelf in the background, and I'm gonna be the reason why you've like remortgaged the house.
Yeah, exactly. This is gonna be the new big L I'm gonna catch. It was NFTs and I didn't learn my lesson. I'm gonna go lever long Labubu.
Oh,
One thing that popped in my head on the gameplay that I don't think we dove into was obviously in the original Pokemon game, the big meta quest, besides getting all the badges, was catching all the Pokemon. Obviously, that was Ash Ketchum's multi-decade long career. So just curious, like, can you catch, so to speak, all the Daemons, and like, how do you catch Daemons, so to speak?
yeah, yeah, great question. So, um, in terms of the initial characters that you'd have able to play, able to mint in the game, so you have your top three chains contribute um, to three different characters you'll be able to play. Then that will combine with some of the default characters. So we want people to be able to play whether you have a blockchain history or not. So you're always going to have default character options. You're always going to have chain options based on what chains you've used the most. And then you're also going to have potentially additional options based on what NFTs you hold. So if you hold the Neo Tokyo, you'll get the Neo Raptor. If you hold a Persona, you'll get the Persona Shenron, and a few others that we're working on. So there's a range of different things that you'd be able to initially bring to life in the game. And then in terms of how you collect from there, we're currently going through a bit of an ideation of planning, and well, I think we're past the ideation. We're well into integration on this one now, where if you complete certain achievements and if you defeat another character a certain amount of times in the game, then it might become an available option for you to be able to play as a playable at the start. So
Hmm.
that's something that we're doing to make people be able to play as many or all of the characters in the game as they want. And as well, like a big part of our thesis on the line of accessibility is that we want people to be able to play this game for free, essentially in perpetuity as an option, if they're really playing and enjoying the game. So what that looks like for us is our launch partner network, and certainly people who hold our existing NFT will be able to mint their first character for free. And likewise, Neo Tokyo, all of your Neo Tokyo holders will be able to mint their first character for free. And then as you progress in the game, we're going to have systems in place where if you play a certain amount, complete certain achievements, then you're going to have more free mints unlock as well, which will allow you to then mint further characters, really collect them all. And as I said, with the achievement system and with like killing certain characters or defeating them a certain amount of times in battle, you might get them unlocked as a part of your initial minting as well. So that will give people a way to truly collect all of the different daemons that we have available and evolve them all to the final rank if you choose to do so. So yeah, that would be a key thing. I have I've been thinking in the background actually. I'd love to riff this off you, Nick, but in terms of a system or a hardcore play mode where you can actually challenge somebody, and as a part of that challenge, you can actually win their character. Both people have to wager and agree to that. And maybe that was something that I was thinking about today. Could we like how can you introduce an actual Pokemon catching system in a game like this that introduces as well like an element of risk and virality potentially in like actually wagering your character on a game. And that was something I was thinking about today. Like how can we do that? Would that be a good idea potentially, or just a complete nonsense little riff in the back of my head? What do you think?
No, I think that's worth pursuing. I mean, the like need for speed in the car world, that would be racing for pinks. So racing for Daemons or playing for battling for Daemons. I think that's great. I mean, to circle back to the virality conversation we were having, if you can get streamers, influencers, dedicated community members to be, settling beefs or challenges on the live stream and you're playing for each other's Daemons, especially with the fact that it could be community based where, you're watching, the NT or the Neo Raptor going up against, one of the other like custom characters, maybe the abstract ecosystem. I think that's a really good way to get those viral moments. And, the degen and people and the hardcore players are going to want, I think, that ability to be able to, wager really cool daemons against each other.
Yeah, yeah, we thought that there might be something there worth exploring, and yeah, I think you've got to tap into the Web3 degen side. So yeah, there's definitely something there maybe, and if not that, then something else will definitely be putting together ideas and trying to like quickly ship things and see what works. And this is sort of the power of what we're bringing to life here is that it is at its core like simple and modular. And so if something isn't working, or if for instance we launch and nobody's using the AI chat feature, then we can just remove that and put something else in its place, like um, the yeah the actual battling for real stakes, and putting your actual character on the line and things like that. So there's a lot of power in that, and the way that we've designed the game. But yeah, we'll definitely be looking for those opportunities. I feel like one of the bigger ones that we're tapping into immediately is the clan warfare system that we'll have. So all of our launch partners, including Neo Tokyo, including all of our chains that we work with, and a heap of the gaming guilds and more. So our full network are going to have their own custom clan links, where they'll be able to jump into the game and really lock down or open up that clan as much as they want, to essentially bring their communities in and engage in clan warfare. So we're going to have some regular little mini tournaments where all clans are competing for some pretty juicy tournament rewards, and that will be just for the live matchmaking component. And yeah, so we're really looking forward to bringing that to life and seeing all these different communities battling it out, and going for the top spot. And we're looking to do that as well so not only for big communities that have like some really high points at the end, but also for those smaller niche communities that just want to concentrate on getting a really incredible win rate. We're going to have like win rate related rewards, and also the big juicy just points related, getting to the top of the leaderboard rewards too. So yeah, looking forward to that and seeing which clans rise to the top.
Yeah, that'll be super fun. Excited for that and definitely going to partake. I was also just thinking, you can sort of mix the two, the AI feature as well as the wager feature, because, in those sort of viral moments and to get the emotions going, like it'd be really cool if the AI Damon could like be like, "Oh, Josh, I'm gonna miss you and miss this thing that we did that happened early in the game when we won, the Neo Raptor by defeating it for the 20th time." And then like once it flips over, starts becoming friends with like the person that just defeated it. I think there is a really cool emotional like sort of like thing that you can play with there through, maybe some text that's AI generated. And, it doesn't even take much for just a pixelated character to look back at you like, "You sold me? You wagered me? Are you kidding?"
That's brilliant. Yeah. I'm gonna steal that, Nick. Sorry, you didn't copyright it in time, and yeah, we're taking that one. That's
I
yeah,
just want better games, so I'm all for it. All this is free feedback
yeah.
to be
No,
weighted
that's awesome.
accordingly.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, actually, like, and that sort of thing as well would be relatively easy to implement. I think the bigger challenge would be the mechanics and the functionality of wagering your character and as a part of the battle, and making that seamless. Yeah, I've we've yet to fully explore the feasibility of that. I'm sure it would be. It's just everything's just a matter of time and prioritization, really.
For
Um,
sure.
but yeah, there's so much you can do and so many different angles you can take it in. And exactly like you said, you're looking for those moments that are just that can go viral and that can draw people's imagination and mind share. And and that is sort of just a huge thing about Web3, and everything is a game of attention these days. But really capturing mind share, and bringing something to life that engages people is is just super important, and really hard to do. hard to do right, and it's hard to maintain that capture. But we are trying to bring something to life that works for the casual player, but also for the hardcore player too, and the people that just want those epic moments of evolving or winning a battle in a unique way. So yeah, we'll be doing our best to capture things and steal your ideas as we go, Nick, and yeah, we'll see how we land.
They're always freely given. And I think that's a beautiful place for us to wrap up. Josh, I really appreciate your time and getting up so early to join us here today. And super stoked about what you're building and can't wait to get my hands on it. It sounds like when the Clan Wars go live or once the full release is, I'm excited to play.
Well, thanks heaps for having me, Nick. It's been a great conversation. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. anytime for you. And yeah, just super excited to be working with Neo Tokyo to see the Neo Raptor come to life, and really looking forward to bringing this product to life too. Hopefully, very soon. And yeah, we'll stay in touch. Thanks for having me, and have a great day and a great time with the One Piece over in your side of the world.
Much appreciated, and I hope you have a wonderful day in New Zealand. And I hope the audience has a wonderful day wherever you're joining from around the world, the Twitterverse. And this has been Neo Tokyo's official podcast, Interlinked, and we'll be back with another episode next week. Take care, everyone.